you really have to have empathy with not only the owners, the whole process. And that really makes a good adjuster versus a mediocre adjuster.
Right.
You have to communicate. Communication is one of the big things, but empathy is the solution to really having a claim go well.
Welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm Sandy Laycox, Editor-in-Chief of Leader's Edge. In this episode, recorded on-site at the 2025 Insurance Leadership Forum, I talk with Paul Kottler, President of U.S. Loss Adjusting for Crawford. We start by digging into how claims adjusting has changed in recent years given the changing weather environment, and whether policyholder needs have changed as well.
Over the last decade, we've seen multiple storms. We've had fires on the West Coast. We've had hurricanes moving into the interior North Carolina, states and areas and locations that have not typically been affected by catastrophes. They may have had hail and wind, but now we're seeing the major storms. The other thing that I'm going to add into our discussion today is black swan events, where we have multiple hurricanes, we have a fire, you could have some incident in a city. That's kind of one of the things that we're always preparing for.
When you talk about, the storms moving inward, like North Carolina is a great example. How does that affect the difficulty of claims resolution? This is a place that doesn't see this kind of flooding. How do you get in there? How do you deal with that?
Exactly. It's really a staging issue. Everyone usually stages in Florida. When you see a hurricane, you see all the adjusters and contractors, but when it moves interior, that changes the dynamics. The highways, the freeways are closed. That particular storm, 80% of the damage was in North Carolina. I don't ever recall that in my 30 years in the business. So really the logistics of getting everyone that adjudicates a claim, experts, adjusters, contractors, into those areas is very tricky.
Are you guys, as a huge TPA, is that, I imagine that's on sort of the forefront of your minds. How are you changing your processes, or what are you doing to try to adjust for this?
Yeah, and I think that's where technology comes into play. More looking at your staffing, where they are, creating a staffing plan, logistics with clients. But the big issue, or the big area that we focus on, is the pre-planning and working with our clients, the brokers, the insureds, and our staff to really be ahead of the storm.
Are you doing things differently now than you were 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think that's where you have AI models for staffing, things like that have really sped up the process. Instead of phones, texting, email, rosters are set up prior to an event. We set rosters with our clients, so the clients know the adjusters, the contractors, before an occurrence.
From the client perspective, are their needs different, or is working with clients the same as it always had been, or is it changing as they're dealing with sort of maybe more surprising events?
I think the demands have changed, and they're unique to each industry. A drug manufacturer, we really need to get those back in. They're critical to the nation, things like that. So that, deploying the resources there. Logistics for habitational apartments, hotels, they have a little unique. We need to be able to get water and everything else out and get people back in before the repairs are finished. So it's really unique depending on what industry you're working with.
I then asked Paul to further explain how AI is being used in claims.
We saw drones and technology and everything in the personal lines market. Now we're really seeing it come into the commercial market. If we have a distribution center that has tornado damage, we're using drones to assess it quickly, within days instead of weeks and appointments. AI for dispatching, for estimating, working with contractors. I mean, it really the technology has really moved up from the personal lines, really probably more into the commercial lines, where we see it critical. And 10 years ago, it was the homeowner market, but now we really see it especially in the GTS type space, heavy industrial infrastructure. It's really critical to get back online faster. And I would say that the emphasis has now moved more from that side to the commercial side. You have data centers, everything that everyone relies on. That's where our first responders are heading. A little different than years past.
We turn to the challenges of claims adjusting in an environment of increasing storms in areas that are not prepared for them, from both a property and policy perspective.
From personal lines to commercial lines, empathy is really one of the important characteristics of an adjuster. Homeowners, definitely. It's personal and cars and homes. But we also run into it in the commercial side because they have employees. And it's kind of a double whammy. The employees are usually affected, so their personal lives are disrupted. Then the business is disrupted. At work, the corporation or the hotel or the factory or the distribution center. So I personally believe in the commercial market, you really have to have empathy with not only the owners, the whole process. And that really makes a good adjuster versus a mediocre adjuster. I mean, it's hard. The contract's the contract, but you have to communicate. Communication is one of the big things, but empathy is the solution to really having a claim go well.
That's a great point. I guess even if you're having to deliver information that is not what they're going to want to hear, if you can do it in the right way, probably goes a long way.
Yeah, and even outside of catastrophe, it's really having that communication, empathy skill. You're walking them through the process, and that goes back to pre-loss events, knowing your client, working with the broker, working with the insurers, where they trust you that you're giving them the right bad news. It could be bad news, but if you have a relationship with them, it's a lot easier and makes things go a lot faster.
We move into technology integration in claims systems and where Crawford is in that process. We also talk about how that affects the policyholder's experience.
We are still working on that. We have policy systems, we have claim systems, underwriting systems, and the big strides have been made in the last 10 years. On the claim side, I think everyone's a little more apt to the technology because we got to get out there, get the information. But a seamless ecosystem isn't there yet. Not there. I do think that the commercial market is probably making major strides with the new technology. Here at the conference, talking to brokers, their emphasis is on policyholder insured experiences and really working across the ecosystem for not only the claim side, but the purchasing, the underwriting, all the way through.
That was actually going to be my next question of how is the policyholder experiencing that system currently?
I have to, on the commercial side, the brokers, the underwriters, the commercial side I feel is ahead of the personal lines side. The relationships are there from the adjusters, the underwriters, the brokers, the agents, the wholesalers, the MGAs. The policies are very complicated and sophisticated. And I see it, Crawford, we do all lines. But on the commercial side, there's much more of that empathy all the way through the process. And the brokers really, and agents are working with their their clients all the way through and working with us, working with how the claim's going, how the project's going, and really in tune more so than probably any other line of business.
That's interesting that the commercial side would be the more empathetic, that's sort of counterintuitive.
It's hard to believe, but it really is. They take a strong personal relationship with their clients, and they follow it all the way through. I mean, it's really personal lines probably could take some notes. It's not all digital. Even though things can be digital, the key factor is you still have to have a person involved in the process.
Finally, I ask what success looks like for claims in this world of increasing risk and advanced tools.
I think the thing that I see is the insurance contract is a contract. You have all the things that go on before the event, but the contract protects the insured from the event. So when an event occurs, that's the most important thing. How do we handle that? And that goes back to the orchestration, the empathy. How do we process the claims faster, utilizing technology, people, process, working together as teams within the whole ecosphere of the insurance policy. And really it's getting the client back online and in business, which gets his employees back in business. And the whole thing really hums then.
That was Paul Kottler, president of U.S. Loss Adjusting for Crawford, talking with me at the 2025 Insurance Leadership Forum. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. For more Leaders Edge podcasts, go to leadersedge.com.